Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we're kind of taking all those like New Year, New You vibes and,
Yeah.
giving them a cozy like autumn twist. We're going to be diving into an article called 14 Ways to Reset Your Life for Fall. It's packed with tips.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
and we're going to, see which ones kind of spark some inspiration for you. It's all about that like fresh start feeling. But instead of all the craziness of January, we're tapping into the energy of like falling leaves and crisp autumn air.
That's a great point. There's something almost like primal about aligning personal change with the rhythms of nature. Fall has always been a time of like harvest, reflection,
Yeah.
and preparation for a new cycle.
Totally. So an article kicks off this idea of reflection, which makes sense. They suggest asking yourself questions like, what's been bringing me joy lately?
Mm.
And what do I want to prioritize as we head into this new season? I have to admit, I often skip this step and just jump straight into goal setting. But I'm sensing that maybe like slowing down and reflecting first is key. What are your thoughts?
I completely agree. Self-reflection might seem basic, but it's the foundation for any meaningful change. Without taking stock of where you are and what truly matters, you risk setting goals that don't actually align with your values or aspirations.
Okay. So we've done some, soul searching. We've journaled under a cozy blanket with a pumpkin spice latte. Now what? Well, the article says it's time to reassess those existing goals. Are they still relevant? Do they still excite us? And here's the part I love. It says it's okay to let go of goals that no longer serve us. No guilt trips here.
Absolutely. Clinging to goals that have lost their meaning can actually drain your energy and hold you back. Fall is the perfect time to shed those old goals, just like trees shed their leaves. It's a natural process of letting go to make space for new growth.
Okay. I'm loving this shedding old leaves analogy. It's so fitting for fall. So we've reflected, we've reassessed. Are you ready to inject some new energy into our lives?
Bring it on.
The article suggests setting new goals that align with the fall season. But here's where it gets really interesting. Instead of those vague resolutions we often make, it emphasizes breaking goals down into smaller, you know, super achievable steps.
That's a strategy that has stood the test of time, and for good reason. Breaking down a large goal into smaller, more concrete actions, it creates momentum and a sense of progress. Each small step becomes a victory, fueling your motivation. It's like creating stepping stones towards your bigger ambition.
Those stepping stones feel much less daunting than trying to leap across a giant chasm,
Yeah.
right? So what kind of fall-specific goals could we be breaking down into these manageable steps?
Well, think about activities that embrace the essence of autumn. Maybe you want to finally perfect that butternut squash soup recipe you've been eyeing, or take advantage of the cooler weather to train for a fall-themed race.
I love those ideas. It's like we're actually like weaving the spirit of fall into our goals. Now, the article also suggests we tackle both routines and decluttering, almost as if they're two sides of the same coin. What's the connection there?
It's all about creating space, both physically and mentally. Just as nature sheds what it no longer needs in the fall, we can declutter our homes and minds. This creates a sense of clarity and calm, like a fresh canvas for the new season.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Isn't there a risk of getting stuck in a rut with too much routine? How do we find that sweet spot between structure and spontaneity, especially during a season that's all about embracing change?
That's a great question. Routines shouldn't feel restrictive. They should be tools that support your well-being and free up mental energy for things you actually enjoy. For example, instead of rigidly scheduling every minute, try incorporating a few core routines, like a morning walk or a dedicated evening wind-down time, while leaving room for flexibility and unexpected adventures.
That's a really helpful perspective. It's like those routines become the scaffolding that allows for more creative freedom.
Right, exactly.
Now, moving on to something near and dear to my heart, self-care. The article emphasizes the importance of self-care, especially during the transition into fall.
And it's not just about those stereotypical bubble baths and face masks, although those are certainly welcome indulgences. It's about recognizing that self-care encompasses every aspect of your well-being, physical, emotional, mental, and even spiritual.
Totally. This fall, I'm trying something new. Instead of just focusing on physical relaxation, I'm challenging myself to prioritize mental self-care. Maybe journaling more regularly or trying out a meditation app. I used to think self-care was all about pampering, but now I'm realizing it's about nurturing every aspect of myself.
That's a fantastic approach. It's about finding those practices that nourish your mind and spirit, just as you would nourish your body with healthy food and exercise.
So we've talked about reflection, goal setting, routines, decluttering, and now self-care. Are you ready to dive into the next layer of fall reset tips?
Absolutely. I'm already feeling inspired to embrace the autumn energy.
Me too. All right, up next, we're exploring some activities that really capture the heart and soul of fall.
This article really leans into those like quintessential fall activities, reading, learning new skills, cozying up our homes, spending time outdoors. It's like a curated list of everything that makes fall so delightful.
Yes, I'm definitely feeling those cozy vibes already. There's something about this season that makes me want to, curl up with a good book, maybe try a new knitting pattern, and surround myself with warm colors and textures. What is it about these activities that makes them so appealing, especially during fall?
I think it's a combination of factors. On a sensory level, fall engages us with rich colors, comforting scents, and a crispness in the air that invigorates the senses. These elements create a sense of warmth and grounding, which is especially welcome as the days grow
It's
shorter.
like nature is giving us permission to slow down and turn inward. I know I personally feel more introspective during fall.
Exactly. And these activities you mentioned, reading, learning, creating, they all tap into that introspective energy. They allow us to explore new worlds, expand our knowledge, and
Hmm.
connect with our creativity in a way that feels aligned with the simka.
I'm also intrigued by the article's emphasis on getting outside. Even as the weather cools down, they talk about nature walks, hiking, and even just enjoying a cup of coffee on a park bench. Why is it so important to maintain that connection with nature, even as we're tempted to, hibernate indoors?
Connecting with nature offers benefits that go beyond just getting fresh air. Studies have shown that spending time outdoors can reduce stress, improve mood, and even boost cognitive function. And in the fall, nature puts on a spectacular show with vibrant colors and crisp, invigorating air. It's a feast for the senses that can help us feel more alive and connected to the world around us.
I love that. It's like nature's offering us a free therapy session right outside our doors. Now, before we get too carried away with fall fantasies, there's one tip in the article that feels a bit like a reality check: planning for the holidays. I have to admit, I tend to avoid thinking about the holidays until the last minute.
I understand that feeling. The holidays can feel like a whirlwind of activity, especially if we wait until the last minute to prepare. But the article suggests that starting early can actually reduce stress and allow us to enjoy the season more fully.
I can see the logic there. But how do we balance early planning with staying present in the moment?
Yeah.
I don't want to rush through fall just to get a head start on holiday to-dos.
It's all about finding that sweet spot. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing approach. Maybe instead of diving headfirst into holiday prep, we can start by simply setting some intentions. What kind of holiday experience do we want to create this year? What traditions do we want to prioritize?
I love that. It's like setting the tone and vision for the holidays before getting caught up in the logistics. And I guess breaking down those bigger tasks into smaller steps, just like we do with our fall goals, can make the whole process feel less overwhelming.
Exactly. And remember, the holidays are ultimately about connecting with loved ones and creating meaningful experiences. So, as you start thinking about planning, consider how you can infuse those values into your preparations.
So, maybe instead of stressing about finding the perfect gifts, I could focus on creating handmade decorations with my family, or planning a special outing to a holiday market.
That's a great example. By shifting your focus from material things to experiences and shared moments, you're creating memories that will last far longer than any gift.
Okay, I'm starting to see holiday planning in a new light. It doesn't have to be a source of stress. It can actually be an opportunity to infuse more intentionality and joy into the season.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe by starting early and being more intentional, you'll actually have more time to savor those cozy fall moments before the holiday rush officially begins.
I love that idea. So,
Yeah.
to recap, we've explored a range of fall reset strategies, from setting goals and embracing routines to prioritizing self-care and connecting with nature. We even tackled the often dreaded task of holiday planning and reframed it as an opportunity for intentionality and joy.
And it all comes back to that idea of aligning ourselves with the rhythms of nature. Just as fall is a time of shedding what no longer serves us and preparing for a new cycle, we can apply that same wisdom to our personal lives, creating a fall reset that sets the stage for a fulfilling and meaningful season.
As we're talking about all these amazing fall reset strategies, I'm wondering how we can carry this energy and intentionality beyond the season itself. Like, how do we make these positive changes last all year round?
That's a fantastic question, and it actually reminds me of a concept called micro seasons. Have you ever heard of them?
Micro seasons. I'm not familiar with that term. What does it mean?
Well, it's a fascinating idea. It's rooted in like traditional Chinese medicine and Japanese culture. Instead of just four main seasons, they divide the year into about 24 microseasons, each lasting around 15 days.
It's like breaking down the seasons into even smaller, more nuanced segments.
Precisely. Each microseason is marked by subtle shifts in nature, like the first buds appearing on trees or the arrival of migratory birds. They even have poetic names, like awakening of insects or white dew.
That's so beautiful. I love how it encourages us to pay closer attention to the ever-changing details of nature. But how does this connect to our fall reset and extending those positive changes throughout the year?
Well, imagine if we applied that same level of awareness and intentionality to our own lives. Instead of just going through the motions, we could create our own personal microseasons, each one dedicated to a specific theme, goal, or area of focus.
Okay, I'm starting to see the connection. So instead of just having a fall reset, we could have a series of mini resets throughout the year, each one tailored to our needs and aspirations at that month.
Exactly. For example, you might have a microseason focused on deep work and productivity, followed by a microseason dedicated to rest, rejuvenation, and creative exploration. Or you could have a microseason for strengthening connections with loved ones, followed by a microseason for solo adventures and personal growth.
That's such a brilliant way to create a life that feels both balanced and intentional. It's like we're weaving together the wisdom of these ancient traditions with our modern understanding of self-care and personal development.
And the beauty of this approach is that it's completely customizable. You get to define your own microseasons based on your values, goals, and lifestyle.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. I'm feeling inspired to ditch the idea of a one-time fall reset and embrace this concept of micro-seasons throughout the year.
I'm thrilled to hear that. Remember, it's all about finding what works for you, experimenting with different rhythms, and staying attuned to your own internal compass.
You've given us so much to think about today, from practical tips to thought-provoking concepts. I know our listeners are going to walk away from this deep dive feeling energized, inspired, and ready to create a life that feels truly aligned with their deepest selves.
That's what we hope for. And remember, the journey of self-discovery and growth is ongoing. Embrace the process, stay curious, and never stop exploring.
And on that note, we'll wrap up our deep dive for today. Thank you so much for joining us on this exploration of fall resets, micro-seasons, and the power of intentional living.
It's been a pleasure. Until next time, keep diving deep.
See you next time.